Welcome to another edition of the Business Brains and the Bottom Line podcast. My name is Paul Delegro, and my guest today is Corey Morris. I'm going to give you a book, a shameless plug, the author of the Digital Marketing Success Plan, and he's also the president and CEO of Volta, a digital marketing company. So welcome to the show, Corey.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh, you're quite welcome. So if I remember correctly, you're up in Kansas City, in that area?
I am.
All right. And I think we touched on this before, too. You're a Chiefs fan, right?
I am. Yeah. If you look around my office and studio here enough, I could take you on a tour of the memorabilia. But yeah, huge Chiefs fan. Had season tickets for a long time and really enjoying the ride that we've been on.
Yeah, no, it's been a good ride for you guys. And if you look over where I'm pointing, and the people listening can't see, but I got my little Patriots doll there, little kind of a totem pole Patriots. I'm a Pats fan, so we've certainly had some good battles against you guys over the years.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, so
it's been fun since we started winning after that heartbreaking AFC Championship.
Yep, I remember that was in a freezing cold night too, if I remember correctly.
It was cold, and we thought we had won, and that one offsides penalty. Had some pain, but
yeah. And that wasn't even a close offsides, by the way. Like if it was like a fraction, I'd say that's kind of ticky tacky. But the guy was lined up like this much offsides. I mean, the refs had to call that one.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
We won. I forget. You know, Pats won so many Super Bowls. I'm forgetting who we beat that year. Seattle, maybe.
Maybe. I don't remember. I checked out after that one.
Yeah. I don't blame you. So, well, at any rate, always good to catch up on sports. You know, that's kind of a big part of my life, and I always like to. You know, I had a friend in Atlanta when we beat the Falcons in that Super Bowl, and we were down 28-3. I called the guy the next day. I was like, actually, I didn't even know what to say to him. Like, I just felt kind of bad for me because they had that. I never thought that they would come back in that game. You know, it was terrible.
Did he take your call?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I was gentle too. I'm not one of those ones that rub it in. I'm not a bad winner. I'm a bad loser, but I'm not a bad winner.
I know, but I think I wouldn't take any calls, period, for a couple of days after that one.
Oh, yeah. It was like he was in mourning. He really was, you know. But at any rate, let's get to the business at hand here. You know, you're a digital marketing company, and you've been doing this a long time, it looks like. So, you know, something I'm always interested in too, you know, because to me, marketing there's some kind of best practices usually, but man, marketing is such a hard thing to figure out. I wish I knew more about it, but I'll start with the old line that I talked to a guy once, and he said, you know, I know that 50% of my marketing dollars work. I just don't know which 50%. And is that kind of a semi-accurate statement, Corey?
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's that percentage or more. Something that has been a mission that I've been on, my team has been on for the past several years, is not just settling when somebody's like, well, you know, it's just, we turn it off, we'll figure out if it's working or not, but to connect the dots in ways that we can to make sure it is working. And in fact, I often encourage people, if you don't know if it's working or you feel like you're just doing it because you feel like you're supposed to be doing it, those are two big symptoms for the fact that you don't have a strong enough plan or you don't have enough reporting in place to absolutely know. And it's a dangerous place to be with all the changes happening. Yeah,
no doubt. But let's back up a little. How'd you get your start in this? How'd you get your start with the marketing and how did you get over to Voltage?
Yeah, I started out straight out of school. This is the 20th year of my career. It's also the 20th year of Voltage, but I didn't start Voltage. I started right out of school thinking I wanted to work in an ad agency. Seemed like a fun industry. I really enjoyed my marketing classes undergrad and ended up in an agency right away in 2005 that it allowed me to slot right in as a project manager on the digital side
Sure.
of their agency. So that was a really good exercise for me because through that, before everything was open source, learned how to do some HTML, do some Photoshop work, and learn really how things worked below the hood.
Yeah.
I won't say I'm an engineering mindset or a mechanic, but I'm more of a strategist. But I was able to tap into my brain of like wanting to know how it works, so then I can apply it.
Sure.
Not so I can be always tearing it down and building it back up, but to be able to apply it from a theory and a practical standpoint. So moved into search engine optimization within the first couple of years. Ended up leading that as a function and really kind of hitting my stride in my career doing that, where I felt like I'd fallen into an area of expertise or knowledge that I could master and be a little bit more unique and one of the people in the world that could do that well. Not saying I do it better than anybody else, but that was kind of fun for me to find really a zone of like influence there. And then just kind of worked my way up through some agency roles to a point of several years ago being president of Voltage and going through a succession plan there with one of the co-founders to buy him out and make the agency mine.
Nice. Well, congratulations. I mean, I'm looking at your resume right now. You've been doing this at Voltage for almost 9 years. So obviously things are working.
Yeah, it's I've had to, like I said, go through that succession plan, which was thoughtful and planned out for him to exit and me to take the full ownership. But then really look at what we want to be and reinvent ourselves essentially over the last several years too.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question. So you meet a customer. Where do you even start? Like, you meet a customer and they say, I need more business. Can you help me? Okay. What do you do then?
Yeah, that's a great place to start versus I need SEO or I need social media, I need tactics. Yeah. I love to start with I need more business or what is I need more X, Y, or Z, and to get to the end business result of what they're looking for. It sometimes still surprises people who come my way or I get introduced to that I don't even want to talk about the subject matter. I don't want to talk about search engines or websites. I want to talk about teach me how you make money and what your goals are attached to that. Or if you don't have goals, let's do some of the math together and work backwards. Because when I understand that, I know then I can help understand if the starting point is you're ready to actually jump in and we are going to do some search engine marketing, do ads or do, content and fuel your SEO and AI, or do you have a brand problem or do you need PR or do you need some traditional marketing and advertising? Do you need somebody, my friend over here, who might be a better fit for you based on what you need or where you are in the phase of your company? So that's what I love what I do, and that's the part of my job, 20 years of this career, that doesn't get old, is hearing entrepreneurs, hearing marketing leaders or executives and hear their stories as I'm curious as to how they got to where they are and what they're doing and what their goals are and where they're going. And so that fuels me. And so that's what gets me excited. And sometimes, like I said, surprises them that I care more about that to start with, because I'm assessing what they really need versus what they might sometimes come to me and think they need further down the path.
Yeah, you got me thinking about that. I mean, I would think that's pretty common. People call you up and say, hey, I need SEO, I need search engine optimization, I need they think they know what they need, right? That's, I would think that the best people, and correct me if I'm wrong, will be the ones that come to you and say, I'm a clean slate here, I need your help.
Yeah, and 10, 15 years ago, Corey would have been nervous about some of those conversations. Or wanted to stay in my lane of, I know how to do the search engine side. You know how to do the business side. I don't want to get out of my lane, but I've learned that even when things are going really well on the marketing side, if we don't map our activity and strategy to a deep enough business metric, I can show you graphs and dashboards where everything is looking amazing in a bunch of fluffy KPIs. But 6 months in, I get fired anyway because we weren't connecting the dots or doing something meaningful enough to produce ROI.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to generate revenue. That's a bottom line, right? I mean, you can, like we talked about first off, I mean, the joke, 50% of my marketing dollars work. I just don't know which 50. So How do you tie those together? I mean, because I think that's a tough one. I could be wrong on that, but to equate
it is tough.
What you do to actual revenue dollars for the company.
Yeah, it's tough, and it's not getting any easier to get attribution right. And sometimes we have to get messy in the data and connect systems that aren't currently connected to get CRM data or ERP or e-commerce data connected to the marketing data.
Sure.
But we know it's worthwhile because we don't want to be guessing and we don't want to be assuming. And so in many cases, we're doing what my VP of strategy calls napkin math. We're literally sketching it out right there in a conversation or trying to get the inputs to do some calculations. And in many cases, it's in someone's head, right? It's in the CMO's head or the owner's head, and we're just extracting information. They've got more data points and have it memorized than we could ever need, but it's just getting it out somewhere so we get a great starting point and then can map out how we would track that. Sometimes it's messy. Sometimes it's Google Sheets on top of Google Sheets, but that's a great starting point because it gives us a foundation to have a numbers conversation, not a feel conversation. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Feeling and emotion and brand and product and all of that is super important as well, but it's not substance in and of itself.
Yeah. So is that part of your offering is that you do the branding portion too? And,
we used to. We were founded as a full service creative agency and then added on digital, and then over time became more digital. But a few years ago, we niched down and narrowed our services to the things that we feel like we do as well as anyone in North America.
Yep.
And we weren't bad at branding. We just couldn't put it on that same tier. So
sure.
When I find that someone needs what I'll call a prerequisite before they're ready to go through the digital marketing planning and implementation of a problem with brand or some just gaps or things that need to be filled in, that's where I'll pull in, if they don't have a current relationship, pull in a strategic partner who does it.
Perfect.
But what's great is I used to do it. So I have a passion for it and I can see how they work together as well.
Yeah, and you have a basic understanding of it, right? Which always helps, right? That way you don't feel like the wool's being pulled over your eyes. But so that leads to my next question. The title of your book is The Digital Marketing Success Plan, right? So this is not just like putting your thumb up here and guessing something works. Tell me a little bit about your plan. Like when you meet with someone the first time, you talk about, hey, I want to increase revenue, I want to do a few things. Where do you start? Like, what's the plan look like in general? I don't expect you to give every single detail, but how do you put that together?
Yeah. My ultimate goal is for every company to have their own digital marketing plan, or what I coined the digital marketing success plan as kind of the end result and what they're operating off of. I've got a 5-step process that I unpack in the book called START. And that really is what we work through. So for opportunities where I have a chance to guide and my team has a chance to guide the process and implement it through my agency, roughly 90 days to get through the 5 steps to get to the end plan. For anyone that just picks up the book, I give it all away here. It's not like we're holding it back.
Yep.
In some cases, you may have a great planning process in place and you find 1 or 2 pieces that I introduced that you don't have in yours that are missing elements that help out.
Yep.
Or you might find that you want to self-implement it and just invest 40 hours of a week into it and go get it done in a week. But the beauty of it is it addresses so many different parts, from strategy to tactics to the assets that you need to what you need to be able to report on, and ultimately how you put that plan in place. So it's not just this fun exercise you went through, and then when we get busy 2 or 3 months in, or something changes drastically in our industry, that we put it on the shelf.
Yeah, no, I like it. I think it's something definable and quantifiable that you can go back to the customer and say, hey, this is working. Or it's not working in some cases, right?
Yeah, and there's active participation at all the points through defining the plan. So it's not my plan, it's not your plan, it's our plan. So the team has ownership of it. It's not something that was in someone's head and then they leave the company and your plan walked out the door. Or it's not, something where it's my work as maybe if I was the SEO on your team and you're the CEO and you came to me and something's not working, it's so personal that I feel like I'm being personally attacked or criticized. It's out there in the open. whether it's on paper or digitally. I give a sample outline in the book, but the final plan takes on many different forms, depending. It's kind of choose your own adventure of how you get there, even after following that process. But it's objective. So if something changes or isn't working, we can say time out, we're coming back, we're going to revisit what happened here, and it's objective for us to work off of, instead of, on the shelf or personal or walking out the door when somebody leaves.
Yeah. No, and I think that the key point there is it's a collaborative effort, right? You work with the business owners and the stakeholders to agree that this is the plan we're going to take. Because you know what happens, Corey. Sometimes when things go well, people start pointing fingers, right? And
or they protect their turf, or there's politics, or even more just innocent things like, sales is focused on what they're focused on, marketing is focused on their thing, the CFO is looking at it through a different lens than the CEO, and there's a customer service person over here who's like screaming, "Hey, this problem keeps happening. Get content out there to help people not have a misunderstanding."
Yeah.
And so everybody is in the organization using the same language, but it all means different things to them based on their territory.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. You just kind of hit something with me that, I've been in sales my whole career. So as a typical sales guy, it's like, why isn't the company generating more leads and opportunities for the sales team? We're getting nothing. It's a typical, right? I mean, just that's something that's near and dear to my heart, obviously, having been in sales all these years. But so things have changed a lot in marketing, right? I mean, I think so. A couple of things I want to touch on is how AI has affected what you do and helps you or hurts you in your business, and also print media. We'll start with the AI first, but I'm always curious to see, with all the digital stuff going on, where does print media fit into this as well? So we'll start with the AI, and then we'll shift from there.
Yeah, the AI side of things. I have to just turn off at the news feed some days because my brain wants to go there. The visionary part of me wants to just go chase all those things. So AI has definitely changed the game. There are a number of new terms and acronyms people are throwing around. We've written an article about how they kind of fit in the context and with SEO on the organic side of things. But the reality is, we're seeing drops in the volume of traffic coming from search engines and traditional sources.
Really?
With Google trying to answer questions in search, and Google, there's a lot of back and forth stats I see where Google hasn't really lost as much market share to the LLMs and the chat GPTs of the world, but we can definitely see the disruption. And so it's really going further to what I said earlier, about what makes you money, and exposing some of those vanity metrics and KPIs that are kind of meaningless versus the ones that drive revenue.
Yeah.
And understanding that. So the good news is we're going to be, as we go forward, less beholden to just Google and Google's rules, as there's more of a diversification of how people search and find information and brands and companies online, while at the same time we can focus more on the quality of traffic and experiences we're giving people instead of the mass quantity that we want to get. So we can have more of a one-to-one feel and approach to those site visitors to try to convert them at a higher level and focus on less of them instead of 15 random, but 15 kind of blanket personas that we're just throwing content out there for to stick.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah. And on the paid search side of things, there's more, when you're doing paid media and ads and Google ads, there are more AI features built into that. So we'll continue to fight the fight there for transparency and attribution to make sure that we understand where our ads are being served, who's clicking on them, and to make sure there's not fraud or other issues out there too, as we target the right customers.
I mean, one of the things as a sales guy I've always kind of struggled with is, how do you track? Like, someone clicks, goes to your website, looks at stuff, likes something, and then ends up sending an email or calling someone. How do you tie those two together? How do you know that click led to this business? I don't understand how that works.
Yeah, and the longer the sales cycle for lead generation or B2B or whatnot, the harder it is, because those windows with cookies and how we track people and privacy, are getting shorter. Privacy laws and changes continue to clamp down on what we can track. But there are ways, and unfortunately, Google GA4, Google Analytics' newest iteration, out of the box doesn't do as much by default. And there's some additional configurations you need to do. My team has written a couple of articles, just even with step-by-step and screenshots of how to just do 5-minute implementation that will unlock a lot more data for you.
Yeah,
it's not perfect, but it's a constant thing that we have to stay on top of, and not just assume that we capture the data in Google Analytics or whatever our favorite measurement platform is, and then it's perfect. Because things like, Facebook will double count some things that came in through another source. And at the end of the day, if we're not tracking all the way through beyond just what happens on the website with the sales team or through CRM, we've always had issues with, attribution of, oh, well, that person did come to the site 8 times. I might have counted as a marketing lead, but the sales team, it really started with a trade show impression or conversation.
Yeah.
And how do those things support each other? So understanding that we're on the same team, we want to get it right and have clean data as a commitment we have to start with. And then from there are some more advanced things that we can get into, but we have to take those initial baby steps first.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, let's shift to the printed media, type stuff, because, I'm thinking of you're talking, I'm trying to relate it to what I do. I mean, I remember I used to send the handwritten cards to people and it's before email, obviously. That's how old I am. But now I don't do that anymore. And I kind of feel like I should. But is there a swing back to a little bit more print media type marketing? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think definitely, and where I see it being most effective is when it's really targeted. So whether we're doing an account-based marketing or an ABM campaign or a Dream 25 list or really targeting a very specific vertical or list of prospects, coupling direct mail or strategic gifts or things like that with all the online impressions is a great way to break through the noise. I have a colleague who's actually a friend, and I'm a client of theirs, who does strategic gifting, but not just gifts, but does it with the right messaging, the right handwritten cards included, and those touch points that do break through. And that's awesome, because that gives you something that humanizes, puts it in someone's hands, breaks up the routine of what they're used to seeing, especially if they're, it takes 38 impressions for them to see something online before it sticks. Well, maybe you shorten that cycle, and those two things are working together, the offline and the online world.
No, that makes complete sense, Corey, about the targeted approach, because you can't go send, 1,000 gifts to people. You could, but I mean, it just financially, it may not make sense, but, I think things have shifted so much in my mind that, we're bombarded every day with digital media, right? On all the different social media platforms, I'm getting emails, text messages, and I've kind of tuned it out. So it's very hard to get my attention a lot of times. This is something and I don't know about you, but like I could be thinking of something and it shows up on my feed. I don't know how it does that, but it's uncanny how that happens. Or I'll talk to my wife about something, and next thing you know, I'll start getting feeds on something.
Yeah, there's so much that goes into that, and then it's there's neuroscience and factored into marketing and psychology too, and we can all tell it sticks out to us when somebody abuses it and it's creepy and they cross the line. But to your point, there's so much noise that and like I said a moment ago, it's taking more and more impressions. I don't have data on that, but I feel like it is. To see a breakthrough there, and I feel like we used to get so much direct mail and it would just go straight into the trash, and then that volume decreased when we could do the same thing online, but cheaper and more trackable. But now it's more, like I said, the evolution to, okay, we can't just waste that investment and waste that time. It has to be targeted.
You're right.
And and it has to be more effective. We can't just mass produce and I guess pun intended, mail it in any of those categories anymore and just throw it out there and hope it sticks. It's more expensive. It's harder to track. more of an investment. So we got to make sure that we're putting more care into who's on our list, what our offers are, what our touch points are, and how we're measuring that to make sure it comes back to us.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. Just do your homework, right? Make sure the people you're sending things to are the qualified, people that need to be on that list. Right?
Yeah, AI gives us the temptation of just scaling outreach and doing things at scale and spamming faster. And that's not helping anyone.
Yeah. You just got me thinking too about mail. I get almost no mail anymore. I don't know about you, but I get one piece a day. Remember before you'd get stacks of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I talked to my mailman recently. I said, how much longer do you think you have? He goes, I think about 2 years, because there's so little mail these days. And the mail that you get isn't really good. Because I don't know about you, but I'm paperless on everything. My bills, my statements. I don't get any mail for anything anymore. So,
yeah, it's interesting. And again, I think some of these traditional channels, I feel like are coming back in a smarter and more targeted way, right? Yeah. So if your mailing list needs to be smarter, if you're bringing it back into the list, and if you're gifting, to your point, you're not sending out probably 1,000 of them.
Yeah.
Same thing with even the way we see TV going and other things, where you're doing more targeted TV over streaming services over the top versus doing a national broadcast commercial during the Super Bowl or college football or whatever. So it's getting into that target audience deeper, and so taking advantage of some of the data and targeting that you can do, and some things like PR are really with becoming and demonstrating your expertise and your authority status on subject matter. While information sources are picking up everything, and there's so much junk out there that AI platforms are citing for things, PR is really helping and coming back around in a new way. Not that it ever went away, but it's getting a new kind of importance in the digital ecosystem of helping distinguish who really is an expert versus what's random crap that an LLM picked up.
Yeah, no, it's funny you say that, man. Again, with all the stuff we receive on a daily basis on all these products that claim to be the best and the greatest and the cure-all for everything, whether it be medications or working out or whatever it might be. So there's so much stuff out there that seems to have all the answers, right? And they don't, obviously.
Well, and that's a parallel as well to doing a digital marketing plan too. So often we hear, we all want the shortcuts, right? I want the shortcut to the workout, to health, to whatever in life, and to do it, one magic bullet like tactic. And unfortunately, we do that sometimes with our marketing plans. We, hear a great idea. It's like, I'm going to go implement that one thing on LinkedIn, and then it doesn't deliver. And then we don't have a foundation to fall back on. So that's the danger of all of this. Is we're wired to look for shortcuts and that one thing to simplify it. And the world is getting much more complex. It's not getting more simple.
Yeah. We're all looking for the magic bullet, right? That the silver bullet that can solve everything. But I think getting back to, what you do, I think I like the fact that you have a 5-step process and a plan, right? That way, and you've got some historicals to go by, correct? What's working, what didn't work. And it probably industry specific too, if I'm going to take a guess on that, like certain things work better in certain industries. Would that make sense or no?
It does. Definitely that's where we start, pun intended again. But I mean, we start with strategy, and some of that's auditing what's worked. We're not going to assume that nothing's working, right? And we need to throw it all away to build your strategy. But the first phase, the S, is start. And that's where we do some auditing, look at where all your strengths are, look at, what unique propositions you have in your brand, your product development, your customer base, and carry that forward. And then the tactics layer, once we have a locked in goal of exactly, working backwards, like I said earlier, how many people or how many prospects or leads you need, what a qualified lead or e-commerce sale or whatever that looks like. With that goal in mind, now we can go layer in tactics, and tactics would be the channels and platforms of how do we reach them. Does it make sense if you're B2B in a manufacturing space to be on Facebook? Probably not.
Yep.
You probably skew more toward, LinkedIn and SEO and paid search as your channels and platforms, but maybe there's a place for remarketing over in Facebook. So again, like getting direct mail, I don't see maybe that many salesy or if I'm buying software, for example, I don't see that many software ads targeting me in Facebook on my personal. But I think back to when my kids were littler and I'd be laying on the floor next to a kid waiting to army crawl out of their room after they fall asleep, laying on the floor, just mindlessly scrolling a feed. And at 9:00 at night, signing up for 2 or 3 software demos because they were showed up because I'd clicked on something earlier in the day or had a tab open in my browser for 3 months and never moved through it in my office. But at home, I finally had that 5 minutes of clarity and in the middle of, that vacuum where there's nobody else selling me that thing. I click through and sign up there and they're probably like, where did that come from? But that's the power sometimes of being where someone else isn't, but it's doing it in a smart way and making sure that you're not just getting way over your skis on what you're trying to do or into the wrong audience space. So that's important. And so finding those primary ones and those right tactics of where your audience is, and then sometimes being open-minded enough to take a multi-channel approach. And if they clicked somewhere on a website and then we can tag them and follow them around a little bit in Facebook or somewhere else, it may be a cheap way to close the deal. Yeah. Compared to trying to scream at them through LinkedIn for the next 3 months.
Yeah, no, it's a multi-pronged approach, right? It makes sense. I mean, everything you're telling me makes sense, so I appreciate it. So, well, any last words for folks out there that are looking to increase business, get a marketing plan, digital marketing plan together before we sign off here?
I would just encourage anyone to pick up my book. $20 on Amazon, $10 for the Kindle version. If there's any barrier there to buying it, reach out to me. I'll send you a copy for free. This is my mission now, is to make sure that nobody is spending money on things that they don't know if it's working or are just kind of guessing at it. And to your point where we kicked off today about, 50% working, 50% not, and we don't know which. Yeah. I don't want to see companies lose money in brands that have a great story, great mission, and great product. And just waste it or think that these channels don't work for them. So I go back to my test of, if you don't know if it's working or you think it's not working, or you're questioning like why we're doing all these tactics and activities, why we're posting 7 times a week and writing 5 blog posts a month, and we don't know, can't answer, with a straight line through to revenue. That's where you should definitely take a step back, pick up the book, or reach out to me. I'll be happy to talk, and not here to sell you anything, just here to save you some money, hopefully.
Yeah, no, I love it. Well, here's the book, Digital Marketing Success Plan by Corey Morris. You can get it on Amazon, I think. Amazon, right?
Amazon. Yep. And you can find information on a companion website I've got for it. That's a long title, Digital Marketing Success Plan. So it's thedmsp.com.
All right. And Corey, if someone wanted to get in touch with you personally directly, how would they do that?
Yeah, you can reach out through, I've got a way to reach out through the dmsp.com, or you can find me over at my agency, which is Voltage, at voltage.digital.
All right. Well, that will be a wrap, Corey, for another edition of the Business Brains and the Bottom Line podcast. Thanks for being on today. I really, I love this topic. Being in sales my whole life, this is something that just always interested me, and I really enjoyed it. So, and thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, likewise. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, that's it for the another edition of the Business Brains and the Bottom Line podcast. Till next time.